And returning to our main theme of today's show, America and its connection to the Holy Land. Joining me now is Rabbi Amichai Cohen, founder of LiveKabbalah.com, a website introducing Kabbalah learning. Amichai, recently we see that U.S. and Israel relations are tightening. What does the Kabbalah say about this? Are there any signs that point to this?
Yeah, well, thank you, Sivan, for having me again. I will say that it is an hour and a half really lesson that we did on the site, livekabbalah.com, and I'm going to try to concise it in about 4 minutes. And so, really, we go back to the dream, right? That epic dream of Jacob and the ladder. And so the Midrash tells us that in that dream, Jacob saw 4 specific stages of history, of world history, specifically Jewish history. That he saw the first stage of that ladder was Babylonia. The second was Persia and Medina. The third one was Greece, and the fourth one was Rome. And so this prophecy is something that we find in the book of Daniel. The Ramban speaks about it at the beginning of Genesis, that idea of exile. And so what I want to just concentrate on is that these 4 exiles, specifically that last exile, which is called the exile of Rome, is really the exile which is called the exile of the abyss, and it's endless. And so really the whole idea of exile is to come to what we would consider world peace, a time of what Kabbalah calls tikkun olam, where the world becomes rectified. But that's impossible to reach unless we go through the hardships and the stages. And so this last stage, which is called Rome, that exile of Rome began at the Roman Empire, right? So, but that really signifies, the Roman Empire really signifies the superpower of the world, where when Rome then lost power, then it went to, we could say, Spain became that superpower of the world, and the Jews had a golden age in Spain. And very interestingly, right after the Inquisition, a man called Christopher Columbus accidentally, right, went and with his 3 ships found the New World. And so the founding fathers and the original pilgrims really saw the finding of the New World as like something which is like a new stage, almost like that the Hebrews considered happening. And really that alliance already began at the founding, or when Columbus touched base over there in the New World, and eventually the pilgrims reached there. So what I want to kind of like give over to you, because it's a very in-depth subject, but this idea that Rome, that fixing of Rome, the fixing of the exile of Rome, is something which is culminated by the U.S. Being a superpower in the world, that really the U.S. being a superpower of kindness, of virtuousness, of allowing others to live freely, right? The land of the free. And so it has to do with the changing, with a metamorphosis of Rome and what we call Esau, that Esau and Jacob coming back together and becoming good friends, becoming brothers once more, as they were originally in the womb, right?
And earlier in the show, we discussed the different streams of American Jewry, conservative, reform, orthodox, and how difficult it is really for all sides to just accept each other.
Yeah.
Does the Kabbalah say anything about that? What is the Kabbalistic approach to all of this?
Yeah, so everything really comes down to education, right? The way we educate ourselves, first and foremost, is how we view the world. And so Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Nazar says that by spreading these secrets of Kabbalah, of the inner aspects of Torah, so one could also view the world in an inner way, could look at the other in a more of a global way, in a greater way, non-judgmental way. The Baal Shem Tov says that when will Mashiach come? When these well springs will go outwards. So primarily through the study and through the dissemination of these secrets, which are accessible to each and every one of us, all we have to do is just look for something a little deeper in our life and find something more of a spiritual learning. And so Kabbalah and Chassidus is accessible to anyone out there. And in fact, that's why I started the site, livekabbalah.com, to really to connect people all over the world, to try to have access wherever they are to more of a deeper dimension. And so it really comes down to all of us kind of like letting go of that judgmental aspect that we think that this is what we are. Really, things are much larger. There's the unknown, and if we make our space for the unknown, we can make space for the others.
So let me ask you about that. You say Kabbalah learning is for just anyone, and I've heard some say that Kabbalah learning is only for people who are already on a certain spiritual level, a level of learning. What do you have to say about that?
Yes, so absolutely true that it is super complex on many levels. It's like almost going to calculus and to, just jumping right in. It's really difficult. However, really every person has a certain level that they could get, that they could gain from. And it's almost like when someone needs medicine, in a sense. And if you just get a little bit of it, so then it helps them. Right? And the Arizal actually said way back before, he said that the only way that we could heal this generation is by getting even just a little bit of what we call Pnimiyut Torah, the deeper dimension. And even if we get a little bit, and we don't get the whole vast, big complex picture, but just even a little bit really will do the job.
But is it forbidden for certain people to study Kabbalah?
No. So actually this generation, we have to try to really get it out there to everyone. Everyone could gain from it, and obviously it's like when we're talking about gaining from it, there's different levels of that, and there's different what we call like chambers. People could go into different levels within that, but a little bit, I think, is accessible to everyone. And if we actually spread that light to more and more people, specifically us as the Jewish people, really being what we call the beacon of light to the rest of the world. It's not just beacon of light of technological insights and military prowess and whatnot. It's really the spiritual light, and that spiritual light is found within the deep teachings of Kabbalah and Hasidus.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Amichai Cohen, for coming in and giving us your input. We're going to take a break, but we'll be back shortly. This is Holy Land Uncovered. Don't go anywhere.